I'm Katie Barlow. Welcome to In the Courts. Off the top, the Supreme Court hears a case involving the Trump administration's efforts to get rid of birthright citizenship. Not a single justice appeared to embrace the administration's efforts to end birthright citizenship. Indeed, several suggested it was a losing issue because the government has lost every single case on its way up to the Supreme Court. But the Trump administration is not asking the justices to weigh in on the merits of birthright citizenship. They're asking the justices to limit 3 separate orders, including one out of Maryland, blocking the Trump administration's efforts nationwide. So during 2.5 hours of oral argument on Thursday, Trump's Solicitor General, John Sauer, argued that a single district court judge shouldn't be allowed to block a president's order across the country. Rather, the judge's order, like Maryland Judge Deborah Boardman, should only apply to the case before her, which in the Maryland case would cover 5 pregnant women who are undocumented and living in Maryland. Now, Sauer says universal injunctions, as they're called, or nationwide injunctions, are unconstitutional, and they create a host of practical problems, including forcing judges to make rushed decisions on important issues. The challengers argue, though, that without these universal injunctions, in this case in particular, it would cause chaos.
The government was arguing today that in a couple weeks, Georgetown Hospital or Inova Health System would have to have their own rules for verifying citizenship, potentially. They would have to say that the state of Virginia would decide what side of the Key Bridge you were on if somebody started to give birth. And if that sounds both ridiculous and absurd, it's because it is ridiculous and absurd after well over a century of this very clearly established in the Constitution and in the law.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, a Biden appointee, said if the Trump administration is allowed to enforce this order everywhere except in the individual cases where the parties win a court order blocking it, then it would create a catch-me-if-you-can kind of regime where everybody has to file a lawsuit in order for the government to stop violating people's rights. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, a Trump appointee and a former White House staffer for George W. Bush, who's sympathetic to presidents who want to move quickly, asked about the practical implications.
What do hospitals do with a newborn? What do states do with a newborn?
I don't think they do anything different. What the executive order says in Section 2 is that federal officials do not accept documents that have the wrong designation of citizenship from people who are subject to the executive order.
How are they going to know that?
The states can continue to, the federal officials will have to figure that out.
How?
So you could imagine a number of ways that the federal officials could.
Such as?
Such as they could require a showing of, documentation showing legal presence in the country.
We will likely get a decision in the case by June, but it's not clear whether the court's going to decide about nationwide injunctions or birthright citizenship or both.